about how it's different. I mean, there are people actually prosecuted and imprisoned for that offense. Mm-hmm. How is the state's requirement that you carry insurance to drive a car different than this federal mandate?
Well, Dan, your preface in your statement actually makes the case. It's the state that requires, because the state has the police power, not the federal government. We've crossed this threshold time and time again when the federal government continues to try to force things onto the states. Number one. Number two, driving a car is a privilege extended by the state. We also make everybody that drives their car get a license, get a driver's license. And that's not a federal driver's license, by the way. That's a state driver's license. In fact, you'll see maybe we don't have enough information on our driver's license, so it would qualify for a national ID card that the federal government tried to require a couple of years ago. But there was a sufficient amount of states that pushed back and said, no, we don't want this. We're sick and tired of you pushing this stuff at us. And so the driving is a privilege extended by the state. We provide the highways. We also provide the conditions under which you operate a car on that highway. And one of them happens to be insurance.
Governor, why not give state employees and public employees the choice? You say you want to have everyone have the choice, but Blue Cross Blue Shield is the carrier for the state. And if you're a state employee, you don't have a choice in that.
Those are contractual relationships. When I was with the J.R. Simplot Company, I had one insurance company. Now, I had different menus of insurance that I could take off that for not only myself, but also my dependents. But because of the contract, where would the cost versus benefit, where would the margin of, let's say, diminishing returns kick in if I had 10 insurance companies providing insurance instead of one, which gives them then a tremendous size of risk pool, which they can then, all the insurance or all of the state employees can buy into. That's a contractual relationship between ourselves and the insurance folks. You know, we probably do the same thing in other areas. Yes.
What kind of impact is this going to have on the state aside from the individual citizens? I mean, are we going to have to now enforce that? What kind of impact is that going to have?
Well, the enforcement obviously is going to be with the new 17,000 state or IRS employees that are going to be needed in order to make sure as they go through the tax forms and how you get the folks that don't file taxes or how you get the folks that, you know, this thing is so convoluted that it would surprise me, Lawrence, if they don't end up having to violate the Third Amendment of the Constitution in order to secure the fact that, come on in, here, let's push on over this way. It would surprise me if they don't have to violate the Third Amendment, put a soldier in your house just to make sure that you buy the insurance. But it's going to be enforced through the IRS, through the Treasury. And the oversight is going to be by HHS and Labor. So that's why those three agencies were named in the lawsuit. Lawrence, am I right?
Yes. Yeah, I'm over here. That's correct.
Good Lawrence.
I have a question.
Excuse me. You got something you want to say?
No problem. I guess there's something to say. Dan, you asked a question about compelling purchase of automobile insurance. But the state doesn't compel you to purchase an automobile. It doesn't require you to drive a car. You can walk, you can ride a bicycle. It doesn't.
Horse.
Oh, horse. I mean, not forget horses, perhaps at Otters, like at the back of the room here. But you're not required to buy an automobile. And that is a significant distinction. And in this instance, it's an extension beyond what we have normally seen under the Commerce Clause. And that's why this is a serious question that really needs to be answered. It is a legal question that we're trying to address.
Mr. Wasden, how many people are facing furloughs in your office? And is fighting this bill going to bring any of those off furlough?
All of my employees are facing furloughs. In fact, tomorrow will be a furlough day for my office. And the question is the resources. We are thin on our resources, but that's one of the reasons why we joined with 12 other states in order for us to maximize the bang for our buck. We were able to perform this litigation with a lot less consumption of resources.
So what are the chances of this bill getting, or this fight getting traction and beating this legislation?
Well, that's hard to predict in any litigation. We believe that there are a couple of very serious constitutional questions that are being posed. Currently, there are 13 states. I suspect at some point there may be others, but we don't know the answer to that question. We'll just have to see. The legal questions are the same no matter how many states join the lawsuit. The legal questions are still the same, and we believe that there are serious constitutional questions that the court needs to address.
How much is the state going to spend on these lawsuits?
We don't know the answer to that question at this point. Again, it's cost sharing with the states that are involved, so it depends on the number of states involved, and it also depends on how much money we're going to need to spend. I will tell you it won't be inexpensive. These fights are fairly expensive, so we'll just have to see. We don't know the answer to that question.
I mean, even a ballpark, is this hundreds of thousands, millions?
I'm not going to tell you how much because I don't know how much, but it will not be inexpensive.
It could be that they'd have to surrender one of these days too, but I wouldn't count on it.
Governor, is this the fight that libertarians, Butch, Otter has always been itching for with the federal government?
No. Next question.
Governor, do you think Medicare is unconstitutional?
Pardon me?
Do you think Medicare is unconstitutional?
Do I think Medicare is unconstitutional? That's one of the partnerships, though. Why would I consider that unconstitutional?
Well, 2% of my paycheck goes to fund Medicare, and I don't have a choice in that, and I don't immediately benefit from it either.
Well, I don't know what percentage of your paycheck goes to the defense of the country, but that is a proper role of government, and that's something that obviously that we need to do. Every time you fill your car up with gas, 25 cents on every gallon goes to the state to build the highway, and 18 cents goes to the federal government to build highways. So it's not unusual. Actually, you're paying for Social Security too. I'm not sure you're ever going to get that. You're young enough that it may be broke before you get there. And that's kind of the other thing that I think that we haven't talked enough about. When the fact that we're already $14 trillion in debt, the fact that we know that we're $47 trillion underwater on Social Security and probably about that much again on Medicare, because of the unfunded liability that we have in both Social Security and Medicare, that we're talking about $100 trillion. And so who are we kidding here? If we were a corporation in the United States of America, the Justice Department would come and take us over and fire everybody, and we'd go through bankruptcy. But we're not, fortunately. But we've got to bring some sensibility back to this, and if this is the only way to do it, or if this is one of the many ways that it can be and should be done, then I'm all in favor of it.